Brian Costello covers the Jets for the New York Post, and he joins us now. When did you know that this was probably the end for Aaron Rodgers, Brian?
Probably, Dan, when they brought the cart to take him from the medical tent to the locker room, which is about 25 to 30 yards. So that tells you he couldn't walk that distance. You don't usually see them cart, you see guys cart off the field. You don't usually see the cart to the medical tent. So once that happens, I thought it was bad.
How would you describe the atmosphere prior to that?
Oh, it was electric. I mean, it was incredible. I can't remember a Jets game ever having an atmosphere like that before the game. Yeah, maybe Rex Ryan's first game against the Patriots at Giant Stadium, but nothing at MetLife was like that. It was, the Jets did a great job with the lights were out. They had everyone had a bracelet on that lit up, and the place Method Man was introducing them, and they were coming out with the American flag. I mean, it was crazy. It was a really electric atmosphere.
Any news this morning? Any updates?
No, nothing yet. He's having an MRI. I'm not sure what time. I'm sure we'll find out later this morning. But I mean, there's not much hope here. My understanding is the doctor feels your ankle and they can tell if the Achilles is intact, and this is just kind of a formality to make sure. But so I don't think there's much hope for anything here. But we'll probably find out later this morning for sure.
Okay, what are the options as the Jets move forward?
Well, I think Zach Wilson is he's the guy right now. They've got a game in Dallas on Sunday. There's nothing they can do right now. So he's the guy. And look, they've been building towards Zach Wilson having a second act. I don't think they ever thought it was going to come now, but this is what they've been working on. They decided not to get rid of him this offseason, kind of keep him and try to rebuild his confidence, have Rodgers work with him. So he's the guy for now. And I think they'll see if they can win some games riding their defense and their running game and managing around him, sort of like what they did last year in the middle of the year. And then if it's not looking good, maybe then they explore other options. But right now, I think this is the Zach Wilson show.
Okay. Do you place a call to Tom Brady?
I guess he called Don Yee, his agent, and see. I think it's a really big long shot. I mean, I can't even fathom how you'd make that work salary wise. How you'd with the salary cap. Well, the quarterbacks are not coming for $6 million. Right? Tom Brady's going to want a good amount of money, and you'd have to completely just strip down the offense and rebuild it. That he doesn't run the same offense as Aaron Rodgers. So I think that's a pipe dream. But yeah, I mean, I guess you could see if he's interested.
I wonder, do the Jets know what they have in Zach Wilson?
No, they don't. I think there's fingers crossed and there's some hope. And I do think he handled all this pretty well over the last 8 months. He lost his job and he embraced it, and he seems to have a good attitude. And he did some okay things during the preseason, but nothing that tells you, okay, he's ready to be a different quarterback right now. I think you're going to see them manage around him, Dan. I thought we saw that in the fourth quarter last night, the end of the game. Maybe you take a shot to the end zone there instead of when you're setting up for that last field goal. No shots to the end zone. It was handoff, 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 handoff. They were not letting him throw the ball. So, if you remember last year when the Jets got hot in October, that Zach Wilson was the quarterback, and they figured out a way to win, and they rode their defense, and they rode Breece Hall, and I think they're going to try to do that again, and that will work for some of the time, and there's going to be some games where it will not work at all. And Dallas, I mean, if Dallas plays like they did against the Giants this week could be a tough one, and the Jets are going to struggle playing from behind. That's where the problem's going to be, and that's what Aaron Rodgers was supposed to solve. Was they weren't going to be behind, number one, and then they always felt like they were going to be in the fourth quarter with Aaron Rodgers. You're not going to feel like that with Zach Wilson.
Who had a worse weekend, the Giants or the Jets?
I'd say the Jets. I mean, because look, the Giants can say, "Oh, it's 1 week, we're moving on." It's a long season. You don't overreact to week one. I mean, Dan, everyone saw this publicly. You watched Hard Knocks. This entire organization was built around Aaron Rodgers this season. The whole thing. The defensive coordinator, Jeff Ulbrich, sat there in the first episode saying, "This is our quarterback. We can win with this guy," right? And everything was about Aaron Rodgers, and that was gone in four plays. I mean, it's hard to even wrap my brain around it right now. And I've been around the Jets a long time, seen a lot of bad Jetsian things. But this one is tough to comprehend right now.
This is why the Jets can't have nice things, Brian.
I mean, It's really just unbelievable, Dan. And I think Jets fans would probably describe me as pessimistic about the Jets, but even I could never have foreseen 4 plays and it going like this. It's just incredible.
And you know what? He was under duress in 3 of those 4 plays.
Yeah.
You know, Brees Hall had a really nice run, but I mean, I was worried right away when I'm going, wait, they're just starting and they're putting pressure on him. And
Yeah.
even when he got sacked, I'm like, did anybody block anybody on that play?
Yeah. It's not, look, Dan, the offensive line was a concern all through training camp.
Yeah.
You know, we wrote about it, we talked about it. It's hard for me to pin this completely on them. The way it was explained to me, that play was supposed to be a quick pass. If you watch Dwayne Brown, the left tackle, he dives at Leonard Floyd's legs. It was a cup lock.
Okay.
Usually that's a cup lock, quick pass. He didn't execute the cup lock. He didn't knock the guy to the ground, so he failed in that aspect. But it seemed like Rodgers maybe, I don't know if the coverage forced this, but held on to the ball a little bit. And then, but you should be able to give up a sack and not expect to lose your quarterback for the season. It's just incredible.
Will they move to natural grass next year?
That's a great question. I just saw DJ Reed, their cornerback, just tweeted about it. Said, it's time for natural grass. Randall Cobb was pretty vocal in the locker room. I know David Bakhtiari put some stuff out there last night on social media. I think that's an NFL question more than the Jets, even, right? That stadium has a lot of use between the 2 football teams. There's concerts there constantly. I'm not smart enough about turf and grass to know how that works, but I got to think it'd be difficult to maintain that field. ESPN last night highlighted what the transition that field went under. I think there was concerts there. There was sold out concert there Thursday, sold out concert there Friday, Giants game Sunday night, Jets game Monday night. That's an incredible amount of use for a field, Dan. And so I'm not sure grass can sustain that. So I don't know if they can do that.
Before I let you go, we're talking to Brian Costello, covers the Jets for the New York Post. Just trying to figure out the recovery time for Aaron Rodgers, factoring in he's going to turn 40 in December of coming back from an Achilles. Have you had any information on that?
Yeah, a little bit. I think, the way I understand this is surgery is immediate. It'll be like this week. It's not like an ACL where you take some time before the surgery. So I think he had surgery. I think he'd be able to probably throw sometime in the spring, and then he'd be able to come back. I think next season. It's week 1, so I think it's about it's about a year. Usually they come back. The question is, Dan, he's going to be 40 years old in December. It's a tough rehab, and is he going to want to undergo that rehab? You got to think, is he going to not want to go out like this? This is a tough way. He's obviously a very prideful guy. I got to think he's not going to want the ending of his career to be like this, but it's a hard road back.
I know you're busy. Thanks for joining us, Brian.
Thanks, Dan.
Brian Costello, New York Post beat writer for the Jets.